Module 6. So you want to become a flipper. We're going to discuss that, but we're also going to discuss how renovation loans could aid in your acquisition of real estate. So flipping could be a good idea. It might be your day job if you learn, but also renovation loans, long-term buy and hold, and some strategies around how to get in properties for less money that we may be able to keep or we may be able to eventually sell. So a lot of young people come to me and they're like, I want to become a flipper. And we're going to talk about, maybe that's a possibility, maybe it's not a possibility, but we're also going to talk about how we can use renovation loans to benefit you. Here's the problem. People come to me and they're like, well, I want to flip properties. I'm like, oh, really? Are you handy? No. Do you know anything about construction cost, material? No. Do you have a crew set up? No. So you're not really ready to be a flipper because the make or break on a flip could be under budgeting, 20, 30,000 more in material. So it's a little trickier than you think, right? Also, another problem is properties don't qualify if they're dilapidated. So if it's a short sale or foreclosure and there's holes in the wall and a missing kitchen sink, you can't get a regular loan. Traditional banks won't lend unless the collateral, the property, is intact. But also, you know, people 20 years ago would go to a sheriff's sale, they go to a short sale, they would get inventory cheap. Now that a lot of people want to buy real estate, it's a little harder to do. But we actually have a partner website that I'm affiliated with. It's going to be the Velocity of Money University affiliation website where you're going to have access to wholesale properties. Now stay with me here. Imagine this. Imagine if we used a renovation loan, whether it's fix and flip, hard money, or a renovation loan because it might be a property you want to stay in. The key is getting the property cheaper, right? There's also the DSCR product where after you're finished, you can take your money back and potentially keep a property. So we're going to talk about all of these, but first we're going to start with the renovation loan. Renovation loans are often very misunderstood. If you're a buyer, you can get a 203K, which is an FHA product, and all you have to do is stay in the property for 1 year. I mean, technically, it's 6 months, but you're supposed to live in the property 1 year. But here's how it works. Say you find a property for $400,000. Been on the market a while, it's dilapidated, it needs a lot of work. You can actually buy the property for $400,000, put $200,000 worth of renovations, so the total project is $600,000. You can put as little as 3.5% down if you're going to live there, or $21,000. That doesn't include closing costs. And if you already own a home that needs work, it can be a refinance too. So think about this for a second. You can get all of the construction money. By the way, it has to be paid to a contractor because you're not allowed to be the contractor in a renovation loan like this. Other ones you are. And fix up this property in its entirety and turn it into a rental where after you live there a year, you could then turn it into a rental. And now you have a brand new house that you financed in that someone else is going to eventually pay off for you. But by living in it for 1 year, you take advantage of the 203K renovation loan and only put 3.5% out of pocket. So imagine a Mac Daddy brand new house, $200,000 worth of renovation, and your only skin in the game is $21,000. So a little more detail on the renovation loans. There's what they call a limited or a streamlined 203K, and there's what they call a full-blown K. So here's how the limited work. The limited is $35,000 worth of work on the property or less. When you have a limited K, you don't need a HUD consultant. I'll explain that in a second. There is a contract or invoice needed for the scope of work, and when you close on the 30-year fixed FHA 203K, 50% of the money is released at closing to the contractor, And when the job is complete, the other 50% is released. That's a simple project, pretty simple. Now, the full-blown K is a little more complicated. In the full-blown K, there's basically three parties. There's the HUD consultant, which is a consultant that is hired and approved by HUD that checks the contractor invoice and the scope of work to make sure that you're not getting ripped off by the contractor. And then there's what they call the appraiser. You've all heard of an appraiser. The appraiser on a 203K appraises what they call the after appraised as is value. And what that means is, okay, I bought this thing for $300,000. I put $200,000 worth of work. The HUD consultant makes sure the contractor's not ripping you off, and the appraiser makes sure after that work is done that it's going to meet the value of the neighborhood and not be upside down. So there's a little bit more involved. Whenever we do 203Ks for people, we literally whiteboard this whole thing, but there's a couple pretty cool things. Say you're renting and you get involved in this project, but you really can't afford the rent and the mortgage payment. You can actually build up to 6 payments into the financing of the renovation loan and not pay the mortgage while you're still renting. Also, you could turn a 1-family into a 2-family. Now, you'd have to get a variance from the town, but from the loan perspective, you can do it, or vice versa. And as I mentioned earlier, we work with a lot of agents who are having trouble selling a property because we show people how to get renovation loans and fix up the property so that the future value is there and the house is brand new. So it's a very good product. It's a way, if you want to start to get involved in investing, whether you're going to flip a property or keep a property, this isn't for flipping a property. This is for living in it and then potentially turning it into a rental in the future.